Right. Chilling out, looking at a calendar. It's good times. Stare at the calendar. See the days actually like all out spread before you. Which like picture day 2:30. November 7th. Mm. Pies. 3 o'clock. November 14th. Dentist. 1 o'clock. November 27th. It's weird sometimes when you see the days spread out before you sometimes, and I think that's going to be our next topic. Yeah, topics. Got one. I've been reading, not really. I've been not really doing anything, but it's all right. Oh yeah, saw Soul Calibur 6 on the games place. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take it down, to put it back up, and then delve into it. They didn't show enough for me to actually get into it though, because yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. 1044 souls. All right. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, oh wait, yeah, the calendar. I have it out in front of me. That's really good that I have things out in front of me that I can remind myself about. And I'm gonna turn this down on my TV because it's about 17. Gonna need about a 9. There we go. Or an 8, you know. But yeah, it always helps to be able to plan out your schedule before you actually go do it. But also to remember that sometimes your schedule can turn out to be I don't know, just not what you planned, you know. What the hell? 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 I died. I'm gonna have to go back to that area once I'm done. I did not have any spells, therefore could not get anything done. But yeah, once you have it, what the fuck? Why the hell am I here? Okay, wait. No, but I'm not throwing it. It's annoying. It's a game is not fun to me because you punch me in the stomach with your claws all the time. It's really bad. Doobity 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 doo. No, I'm not. That's right. You should feel bad because you punch me in the stomach with your claws all the time, Bo. You like to yeah, no. Just walk off in shame, or smell something. I don't know what you're doing, but yeah, realizing that and yes, I say realize a lot, but when you're actually diffusing certain situations, you realize a lot of things. So got-ins. Yeah, that was amazing. But yeah, understanding that that the dates can be misconstrued in some ways. Realizing that those dates themselves can be pushed back, and people can say different things like, "Oh, I'll be there for you. I'll be there right there, no matter what." And then they're not, or they are, you know. It's just dependent on everything, you know, and the way everything goes along. Would you quit it, Bo? Stop doing stuff like that. Stop scratching everywhere. And yes, I'm not playing a game with you because I'm playing a game on the PlayStation 4. I know I am not neglecting you in any way, because I play games with you all the time when I'm not playing this. And I sometimes believe that I deserve a break. Not a break, but like a thing, like a... Got him. But yeah, I've noticed that some people sometimes don't realize how much of a break they give themselves, or how much of a thing they give themselves whenever they're making time to do the things they really want to do in their lives. They're not really helping. They're not really seeing the dates along. They're really just like I've seen people like dreading looking at the calendar. And if you dread looking at the calendar, then maybe you should be doing something else, you know? It's like if you're not okay with the things that you're actually doing, or you're not constantly able to be like, oh well, I'm just gonna make this stuff happen over here, and then completely forget about the days, because that's happened before to me sometimes, where I decide that I'm gonna get a project done, and then I completely forget about the days. But I mean, it's a different thing altogether. I just forget about the days in one day, and not forget about the days in like a whole bunch of days. So I know today is like today's like the 14th, I think, or the 15th. Yeah. So there's that. I sit at the bonfire, renew my spells. Oh. And also too, I had to fart, so I did that. It was really nice. And also, if you think about it, like, there's so many people that fart, like they have to fart, like they have to fart, and not like people have to fart. It's like, people have to fart, so it's like, and what's going on, viewer? You can I'm talking about stupid stuff with like calendars and farts and things like that. If you want to chime in anytime, you can just you can message me if you want. Yeah, I'm just killing that guy with the shield. Little algorithm. If I change direction, does not work. But yeah, planning and everything in the day is kind of even with doing these kind of live streams and stuff like that, can planning something to do all the time can be very taxing on the person who's actually trying to plan it. And those as plans can come to like a screaming halt when something happens, like you get an accident, or you decide that someone's not feeding to your artistic prowess, or going in a certain direction, and Bo's chewing on something terrible probably. But I'd say that sometimes people try to say that they have a grasp on their own calendar a little bit more than they actually do. Okay, we're gonna press up here. Yay. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Seeing as how I have no viewers left and I don't have anyone to talk to. But but yeah, I think that, oh yeah, you're back, yay, whoever is back, I guess. I try a lot to be able to make sure that I can count the days. I don't want to count the days wrong, and I want to make something out of this, so I'm going to keep talking about calendar days. And that dude I just ran around is probably going to start chasing me at some point. I also realized that I'm going to get something that's over here, or something like that. There he is. Awesome. Oh man, just there we go. Awesome. Did not heal. I'm a dumbass. But yeah, I decide that I'm gonna look at the calendar sometimes, and also too, in some ways, the calendar itself doesn't represent actually every single day, because that's the reason why we have a leap year, so we can actually somewhat go back to a certain normalcy of seasons per month, I guess. But yeah, I decided that I've decided a lot that I'm gonna be able to oh cool, there's my souls. Awesome. Hopefully I don't run in straight into the dude, because there he is. Yay. Alright, you're dead. I'm gonna kill that guy. I'm gonna run up here, I think. Actually, wait. Where do I go? Okay, alright, cool. I'll go here. Awesome. There we go. But yeah, that's basically the reasons why I try to push it sometimes. I push the calendar a lot, and I don't find a way to to just reinvent myself every day or something like that. I actually like I try to reinvent something or try to reinvent something. I try to say something that I think is cool or like I don't know. I just to try to break through my own mold, I guess. My own like habitual mold, I guess. Alright, that didn't work a lot, so I'm gonna go to the Great Soul Arrows. Little fucking asshole. Alright, awesome. You're welcome, Leslie. No problem, Leslie. I heard you the first time. I was just drinking energy drink. Oh yeah, that's right. Today's broadcast is not brought to you by 0 calories, 0 sugar. 0 calories, 0 sugar. 0 calories, 0 sugar. Awesome looking can of Monster Energy, ultraviolet. It's delicious. It's awesome, and sometimes it hurts my throat. Not because I drank too much of them, because I just had an orange. So, the citrus. No, I don't. I don't always drink them. I don't get heart palpitations like that kid on YouTube, that host on YouTube. Oh, that old host on YouTube. He's not really a host anymore. He's more like a self-proclaimed nerd, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, deciding that you're gonna go along with a calendar day is a commitment, and deciding that you're gonna actually be a part of a calendar year of any kind, like any kind of community service or community thing or community stuff. Just, I mean, it's a good way to. I don't think I'm gonna go in this bonfire because it's like there's just nothing but people around. So yeah, I decided a really long time ago that I was going to, even when I was about 5 or 6 years old, that I was going to not let, I guess, the way that I felt about someone affect my judgment about anything. Like, so even if I don't like certain people or anything like that in a certain day or something like that, or if I say that I don't like a certain person, and Bo, stop digging into my butt crack, jeez. It's freaking, it's not how that sounded. He's sitting behind me and I'm leaning over forward, so he's just, yeah, he's like, not really digging on my butt crack, but he was like, okay, alright, good. I'm gonna stop talking about that now. But yeah, I decided that I wasn't gonna actually try to feel too extremely about something, because it would get me in a tizzy, or it would get me in like to and I'm trying to run around to activate one of those dudes to run after me, but he's not actually doing anything. So I'm gonna see if I can go do the scorpion thing, because she's a biatch, and I'm gonna try to kill her. But yeah, I decided a long time ago that I wasn't gonna let things get to me, and as I was making the days out, or as I was trying to make the days out, I realized that sometimes I'd forget. I'd forget about certain things, and I'd forget about certain people. I made a clear path. I tried to make a clear path at least, and a clear path for my mental health and for my mental capacities, and that sucks, and really wish I was more powerful and had more hit points, but I'm gonna see if I can take out those giants now. I'm gonna go travel to the other side of the thing. We're gonna do that. So what I decided to do was not take any day to heart, and realize that those days are predetermined, and also realize that with those predetermined days, I was living someone else's fantasy, you know? And that's why I forget the days sometimes, because I don't follow the calendar all the time, every day. I don't always celebrate the things that I want to celebrate, or I don't always do the things that I really think that I should do. Sometimes I don't even follow Labor Day. Sometimes it's like they come up on you so fast sometimes, and I think that with the year itself, the calendar, it tries to get you into a habit, or it tries to get you into a habitual regimen, I guess. It tries to put you into what you need to do, or to how you need to do it, and in some ways it can be very taxing, and people don't give themselves enough credit sometimes whenever they're doing stuff, whenever they think that they've done stuff. I don't give myself enough credit, and I know it. So I'm assuming that I don't give myself enough credit. I'm sure that there are other people out there that don't give themselves enough credit as far as the activities that they pull off, or like if they ever do a double front flip or something like that, they're like, whoa, I just did that. That's really cool. It's like, no, man, you did a really great job. You did A+, man. You get a sticker or whatever. You like it's like, I realized that whenever I was a young kid, I got rewarded for stuff, and I realized that I should have been rewarding myself all along. Sometimes for the stuff that I actually did, for the good stuff that I actually did, obviously not the bad stuff, but like getting up during nap time and throwing rocks with a young Asian kid, or throwing pencils and stuff like that, and making a disturbance in class, or deciding that I was going to mess with the teacher and draw and write an entire zombie story when I was 5 years old, or I don't know, just like there was a spelling word thing, and I decided that I was going to make an entire zombie story, and I was going to make my teacher go, wow, this kid's got some serious talent as far as writing goes, but he decides to use it for demented things. I decided that I was going to do that for that. So I decided a long time ago that I was going to make sure that I could do something that was spectacular, or not just be speculated upon, but be completely awesome. Like not make got it. Alright, but yeah, not make a huge tizzy or anything like that, or make a huge like event or something, but see how cool I could make stuff and actually be able to do stuff. Like I decided that I was going to start writing a lot when I was younger, and I think that's the reason why I don't write now or something, because I kind of want to give myself a break, and also I don't want carpal tunnel. So I decided to give myself a break on writing. I realized that it's not going anywhere. I realized that I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So I might as well enjoy this ride that is life, I guess. And within those bounds, I guess, try to make a better calendar year, not just as I'm sitting, or as I'm standing, or something like that, or not just the things that I'm doing, but the way that I'm thinking. So I mean, like, any day could be a better day if I just make it out to be that day. Any day could be awesome, and I don't want to limit myself to what actually other people are thinking around me, I guess. And I don't want to limit myself to what a certain calendar year could have for me, I guess. Like, oh, Christmas, amazing. But also too, I really do try to make sure that I can give my my nieces and my mom and something to be about all around the year. Like I always give my nieces art supplies. I don't like and I know they're not gonna completely use it, but that's the reason why I give it to them, is because I keep giving it to them and keep giving it to them, and eventually they'll be like, wow, I really need to start saving this. I really need to start doing something with this, because there's always stuff you take for granted until you don't take it for granted anymore. And I think that's what the calendar year itself kind of gets you into the habit of doing. It makes you like the events themselves. They make you want to be like, wow, I should be more involved in myself, or I should be more involved in my life, or something like that. Like, oh, maybe I should quit smoking, or maybe I should do something really cool for a charity or something like that. Or I could build a house when I have enough time available. Yeah, I mean, the more you look into it, the more spectacular things can actually be, and the more spectacular you actually start to be able to impress yourself, or the more spectacularly you start to be able to impress yourself. And I think the more you impress yourself, the more you're able to realize that that there really are good things out there, and you could be the start of another good thing. I think that there are so many reasons to be able to say that this year is the best year, or next year is going to be the best year, and god damn it. But it only takes you, and it's like some people don't think that they matter sometimes, and I don't really take kindly to those kind of words sometimes. I take kindly to people starting to be able to see through their own because we put mold sometimes up in places. It's like emotional like just corrosion sometimes, that we think that there's, because I've done it before a lot, emotional corrosion, to be able to go along to another event, or go along to another thing in your life, or another place in your life. And I actually killed that dude. Awesome. Or exhausted his respawns. I think what we don't realize though is as we start to build on those things that are happening every day, we kind of start to push that mold away and realize that we are the cleaners of our own emotional disgustingness. Son of a bitch. Alright. Son of a bitch! Should have gotten further away. Alright, realizing that though, there's a lot of different areas that I could actually go into to start making a better day, and making a better day for myself, for making a better life for myself. If you do want to message me though, viewer or viewers that are coming in and out, then you can. But also I'd say realize that there are so many ways to go about fixing a problem, and there are so many ways to go about being able to make yourself feel better that day, or to make yourself feel better about something that day. And these sometimes are personal affirmations, but hey, how's it going, second viewer? You can message me anytime you want. You can get into the conversation, or you could just sit there and watch. It's cool. I try to push myself to be able to make those personal affirmations, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I run into roadblocks and different things and people that are like, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's go over here, and I'm like, well, I kind of like wanted to do something to this effect during my day, and they were just like, nah, man, come on, it's fun. And I'm just like, yeah, I know it's fun, but I don't want to just do stuff that's fun. But there's different ways to be able to make your day a better and brighter tomorrow, or a better and brighter today. You can give yourself credit, I guess. You can, and it sounds stupid, but I guess personal affirmations can make you feel better, and can help you push for another tomorrow. And I know that some people think that, like, ever since Al Franken touched that woman's boobies, I don't take any of his characters seriously from SNL that were in the 80s or the early 90s but understandably so. People can find excuses to not be able to make different what's the word, goals for tomorrow. People can find different and I know I said that fast, but it only worked fast, and it was a joke, kind of. So I think a lot of times people try to got him. I think a lot of times people try to make up for inconsistencies in their own looking, in their own inconsistencies in their own like character flaws, or things like that. Like people don't want to just be like characterized as, oh, I'm this kind of person, or I'm that kind of person, or I'd only like a certain kind of ketchup. I don't like sriracha ketchup. Alright. But taking all that into account, I think that people don't give themselves the right kind of motivation sometimes. They motivate themselves to do really stupid shit sometimes, and that's how those things actually happen sometimes. Or not. I'm not saying that actually happened, but I mean, also you have to look at the individuals themselves, because they themselves are responsible for their own actions, but also too, situations can get out of hand, and I don't think that everyone should be looking at certain people. Sometimes they should be looking at the situation, and they should be looking at how did this get out of hand, and how did this happen so far, to be able to look past what the day does to you, or what the day does for you. And yeah, I'm going to level up. I think that that people themselves don't give themselves enough credit between any calendar day. They're always like, oh, I have to get something done, and I have to get something done quickly. I have to get something done now. I'm like, yeah, I have to get stuff done. Like, I would love to be impatient as hell and try to do stuff for as many charities as possible. But in the same sense, I'd be broke, and and I wouldn't be able to buy myself these wonderful energy drinks sometimes that actually don't really do anything except help me perform in the areas that I want to perform in, you know? Or be able to coincide with the vitamins that I eat and different things like that. Like, I don't find it I don't find it fun to rush. So I really don't, and it never appeals to me to be able to rush into something completely unknowingly or unknowing and be like, oh, this is fun. I'm gonna do something impulsive and stupid and make a complete fool of myself. That's awesome, because that's sometimes what I do whenever I'm actually in those high pressure situations. Sometimes I don't do something stupid and hurt someone or no, but I actually laugh a lot, and it's like, have you ever been embarrassed about real life a lot? Like about a real life situation that you shouldn't be embarrassed about. It's like a person is drunk or dumb or mean to a different person, and you have to like slowly etch away for them to be able to leave the place that you are currently working at. And you're like, I'm sorry, sir, you're gonna have to go. I mean, I know you really want to do this thing that you were doing, but I'm really saying that you have to go in the outside and think about your actions before you actually do stuff. And they're like, oh no, I gotta do something really important here. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that's very important, but it's gonna have to wait until that person actually leaves this establishment. And I think that if you put it in your heart and realize that this person really doesn't want you around, I think, and I don't think that they're gonna actually do that, but you're gonna have to. But about those situations, I laugh inside so many times. I don't laugh at them, but I laugh at the situation, because there are so many different situations and parts and places and people that led up to that area, or led up to that person wanting that other person without that person wanting them back. And there's and in that situation, I think that people don't understand that they don't see the humor, I guess, in it sometimes, or they see like, oh, a person's kind of, this is really serious of an issue, and it's just like I don't see the fact that they didn't get the message 20 times beforehand. I don't find that to be a serious situation. I find that to be a situation where you're like, sir, I think that this person tried to explain to you that they didn't want you around, and they tried to do it in the most kindly way possible, and you took their kindness for oh, that doesn't mean that they don't want me around. It just means that that I need to try harder and to be able to be near this person, because obviously this person really wants me around, or else they would say so. And I think that that situation kind of it made me laugh a lot. It really did. It made me inside. It made me like, it didn't make me happy. It made me laugh. It made me amused a little bit, because I barely interact with people sometimes for the amount of attention that I'll receive, I guess. I don't really think about the intention, I guess. I think about the quality of the experience for both of us, and I think that that's what people need to start, or people who delve into a certain experience or try a certain action, I guess, need to realize is the quality of attention. Is the quality of attention that you're giving or receiving equal to the amount of quality of attention that person is receiving from you? And I'm not talking about any sort of like religious speak or anything, like any sort of. I'm talking about a moralistic approach of like, is that person having fun? Like, as much fun as you're having with them. Because if they're not, then it's probably better off if you just walk away, or be like, hey, this situation is kind of fucked up, and I know it, and I'm not gonna read into it anymore or try to push for it anymore. I'm just gonna walk away, and that's it. Realizing that there are great situations that people don't understand. I just fucked up. Okay. There are great situations for people to be able to look into and be like, wow, I really did a stupid thing back then. Like say for instance, I played a game of it wasn't dumb, it was actually really fun. A game of ping pong at one person's house, and I just kept saying the stupidest shit that could ever come up with in my mind. Whatever I would possibly come up with. But was that fun for everyone else hearing me say it, or was that just fun for me saying it? Because that's the reason why you have friends. Like, you want them to hear the stuff you have to say, but you also want them to enjoy the things you have to say. You don't just want them to hear it and be like, oh, that's the thing you said. That's awesome. But you want them to actually enjoy the things that are actually coming out of your mouth. So it's like in that kind of it's not catch-22 or anything like that. It's like a in that mutual understanding, you really want people to be able to be entertained by you, and if you're not being entertaining, I guess, then what's the point of being able to have friends or being around friends in the first place? Why don't you just say those things to yourself and then make yourself laugh, or be yourself in a certain situation, and not to say not to be yourself, but to realize that those actions or those euphemisms or even those phrases aren't yourself. They're a learned behavior that you kind of saw along the way, and within that calendar year, you'll be able to realize that you are a better person because of not saying those things in front of those people. Not because of your insensitivity or your lack or your sensitivity thereof. It's because of you didn't cross that line in front of those people because you thought that they'd be okay with saying something really stupid or dumb, and maybe they just thought that you were retarded or dumb, idiotic, or maybe a certain adverb of a certain type of person, because or certain adverb of a certain kind of person. Realizing that those people admire and adore you. I don't know why I did that. And also realizing that when those people adore you and admire you, the less they hear from you, the stuff that they like, the less they'll admire you. Sometimes the reasons why they admire you is to feel that way, though. Sometimes, but also too, I think, should you go into that action being a part of their lives and be saying the things that they like to hear, or do you break down that thing? It's like you see a big old awesome sculpture. It's like, what's your first instinct? A big old sculpture of bubbles, or a big old sculpture of sand. What's your first instinct? Is it to break down that sand because you find that sand to be, I guess, intrusive on what you see sand as? Or do you let the castle be? Or do you let the thing be? Because of, you know how fragile things can be. You know how fragile people can be. Within that calendar year of you believing all of those habits and all of those things that need to happen, it can wear down at your oh, where are you going? Friends Inc. For what? Oh, they could probably do it as long as they keep it flat.
Well, they want me to bring it in.
Is it the only copy? Or is there other copies? Alright, okay. Well, I'm probably gonna keep doing this because I'm only at 45 minutes. But yeah. But as you experience that calendar year, shit. Alright. But as you experience that calendar year, it can not only push towards you to be a better person, but to weigh you down. Do you it's like imagine the calendar year as an authoritarian figure, and as that authoritarian figure starts to push sort of an agenda on you, or you feel as though that calendar year has an agenda itself, or you can personify a certain fear within that calendar year to be it's like that question, to be or not to be, the famous question from Shakespeare, and it's like, would you be a certain shit? God damn it. Alright, would you be a certain person within that year, or would you realize that everything is fleeting and be kind of a better person than you were the year before? No, I'm not coming. Sorry. I'll stay here. But where's do I have the keys? All right, cool. Okay. All right. But yeah, would you be that same person, or would you be a better person? And also, that has a lot to do with people starting to say that it's always like everything is too responsible or something like that. We're all too I'd not say not responsible. I guess everything's trying to be, you're trying to create a false image of what actual men do, but understandably so. People are fucking insane sometimes, and people can be insane. Yeah, there's about a quarter of a tank, I think, or half a tank. Yeah. But yeah, the people back in olden times and stuff like that were freaking hard to get along with, like hard to talk to, hard to be a certain person. You had to say the certain things, and not to say that just through this gaming experience that I experienced, I'm saying that these people, but if you weren't a part of a certain clan, people would never even give you the time of day, back in sometimes of days like this. And it kept people from getting their heart broken. It kept people from getting their lives torn apart because of just a certain slip up. And they realized that certain slip up is the way that people that certain slip up is just the way that sometimes people react or interact with each other. I think that as we start to realize that there is a socioeconomic trend within our own actions, we start to realize and say that maybe we should be a better person, because we're not being a better person trying to just fill the status quo, or fill what we think in our hearts is or our minds. Or not to say that our hearts ever have any sort of electrical impulse, because they don't. Our minds, basically. In our minds, do we find it easier to think like everyone else, or to think like we think everyone else is actually thinking? Because within the bounds of everyone else thinking, we don't know what they're thinking at all. They could be thinking about overthrowing the world in like 5 or 6 months. Son of a bitch! I didn't know that he was gonna do that. But within those bounds, I think that what? Within those bounds, maybe. Hold on. I didn't use it, so I think if I did. No, I don't have it. Why? Yeah, you did give me cash. thought I might have had it, but within those bounds of calling ourselves certain people, I think people should try calling ourselves certain people, or reacting to a certain situation, I guess, or certain people reacting to each other. People are going to start realizing how protective they actually are about themselves. People are going to start to realize that how somewhat demented sometimes their actions can be, by just saying that a person could interact with you, a person could be near you, or I am doing something, but I'll find it. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna run away from these guys, and hold on 1 second. I died. Awesome. Great. I'm running off the thing because I'm looking for someone's debit card. Found it. It was right next to your ID. There you go. Yeah, I know, because you looked at it and thought that it was one thing. I'm a dumbass, but I'm gonna get my souls for it, and the souls back, because I died looking for your debit card, and I think my controller is now stuck in a certain position because of me actually doing this for like so many hours on end. So I guess realize that in that conclusion, I guess realize that there are so many different ways to go about actually doing something. And realize that you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself with one thing. And I'm going back to the same point that I was last time, but it still speaks true to this situation. And realize that you're not the only one going through those certain things, and realize that sometimes you have to reach out and branch out to be able to see that you aren't just the only person going through it. Realize that those situations can snowball into a bunch of different other situations, and it's like people try to think that sitcoms can't happen. Sitcoms can't happen. Like, oh, you lie about one thing and then you have to lie about another thing, and you have to lie about a whole bunch of other different things just to keep that one lie safe. But that's basically what happens when people start asking questions, or logical people start actually asking questions. I mean, people who respect your wishes and respect your privacy and stuff like that are actually well and good, but if you have any friends like I do, they ask questions, and you shouldn't lie. You shouldn't be a part of someone else's, you shouldn't be a part of your own fantasy just because of someone's just because of someone's... Oh, and Bo, stop licking yourself near me. It's weird. He's biting on his butt. But yeah, I just went back down to one person because I went into a thing. But also too, I'm gonna start I'm gonna start trying to be a little bit more specific sometimes, and within the calendar year, sometimes it wears us down, and in conclusion, it wears us down, and when it wears us down, we start to do things out of character, and we start to try to realize, like, oh, I'm not a robot, or I'm not a certain person that likes or doesn't dislike a certain thing. My likes change over time, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. You can truly change over time, but realize that you came to that conclusion slowly. You didn't come to that conclusion over time, like a complete just mismatch of different things. Like, I like different stuff. The reason why I like different stuff isn't because of me just liking stuff to like stuff. It's because I came to certain conclusions that I didn't want to just consume one type of media. And also, too, I didn't want to consume just one type of a person, because I would start to identify with that person more and more. And the more I identified with that certain person, the more I'd be, I'd say, what's the word? the more I'd be controlled by what I think that person is, because of ways that I believe I think that person decides to be. And when you start to make assumptions about what a certain person's starting to be, you start becoming exactly like a consumer's view on something they have no idea about. It's like you don't know the reasons why a certain person believes a certain amount of things. You don't know the reasons why a certain person, and if they're not willing to share them with you, then, I mean, what's the point of ever understanding, I guess, ever understanding what you think a certain person is about? You can say that, oh, that person is just, he believes that because he believes that, or he believes that because that's just the way he is, and it's like, yeah, I know, you can say that, but the more you say that, the more that person will start to grow, I guess, weary of ever trusting you with a certain amount with a certain amount of trust in your way, I guess. And the more you want to become a better friend or a better companion or a better partner to anyone, I think that you should be, and you can not take it seriously, and the more you not take it seriously, the more your opinions will revolve around those opinions. You can push for I'd say like a certain thing to be able to come to fruition, like, oh, I like this because I like this, and I think it's funny, and I think that it's in retrospect doing it ironically, but understandably so. The more you do something ironically, the more you'll realize that your opinions themselves are based unironically, and the more you base your opinions off of ironic stuff, the more you'll realize that you're not actually basing them in ironic in an ironic subset, but you're basing them in an ironic way of thinking, and ironically is kind of a hard note to hit with people, I guess. Because I've seen it happen with so many different series and so many different places, and they're like they say things ironically at first, and when they start saying them ironically, they're like, wow, that's really cool. It's like, I mean, I've seen it happen time and time again. People have started to say like funny quips or funny things, and sometimes people think that that's the one thing that they have to go back to that can actually make everyone laugh, and when that starts to not make everyone laugh, they're like, wow, this is really stupid. I don't understand the situation anymore. But the more they don't understand the situation, the more they realize that they didn't understand the people and the situation to begin with. The more they just saw something they liked or saw something that other people liked, and then played on that. The more they realize that their audience themselves, they don't really understand them. And when they don't understand their audience, they don't understand the individual. And when they don't understand the individual, they don't understand the masses. So it's like one person can laugh at your joke, but they'll have a certain reason for laughing at your joke. So realize that laugh itself gets a back seat sometimes to the problems that are going on in their life. The fact that they just want to laugh about something, or maybe even they just thought that that calendar day was something to be laughed about, and they wanted to laugh about something at all. The more you say that, oh, this is this piece of artwork is a metaphor, and the metaphor is never believe what you see in something. It's like, it's moreover, I think, what people were trying to say as they were, because I am an artist, and I don't think that I have a keynote with other artists, because every person is different. But I think that sometimes when people try to say within fake things, they try to realize that life itself is, in some ways, what people would try to say is fake, I guess. where people will try to say, I don't understand sometimes when people actually try to say that, oh, we all know that blah 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 is blah, and then but we don't know that blah 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 blah, and then they try to surprise the audience, I guess, with some sort of quip or thing like that. It always runs down to what kind of media you kind of choose, I guess, and I kind of realize where my media is going, because I kind of watched Mad TV a lot when I was younger, and I realized that they were just making those things because of certain audiences being able to be. But also too, when I was younger, I really shouldn't have been watching Mad TV, and that speaks a lot to my own inhibitions and my own self-interest as well, and also Mad TV's self-interest. but also too, it kind of, like within Stewart, the character Stewart, the character itself kind of reminds me about not myself when I was younger, but a version of myself when I was younger. The version that I knew that what was going on around me, and I knew exactly what was going on around me, but I acted aloof and a little bit insane because I thought that it would be funny to people who actually knew what was going on around themselves. That's the reason why I think that sometimes people don't understand the actual thought process behind Stewart, and they don't realize that Stewart is actually a borderline genius, and he's like, it's like realizing that a child themselves can come up with, and it's like you can tell that it's a grown up, you can tell, but also too, it's like a symbolism about the way that children think that they're grown up anyways, and that's how they feel that they look towards other people sometimes, and I guess maybe I'm just putting too much into it, but also in the same sense, I think that people don't understand that people don't understand the way that people understand media, I guess. And I think that maybe it was just a funny quip or a funny way, but the person who probably came up with the original idea had that in mind, I think, with certain children, like they understand, they're just making out their world, I think, and within those bounds, I think they start to see the calendar day and see the way that it affects people, and start to think that those calendar days have something to do with the way that people are feeling, instead of the things that they're going through in their lives. And when they start to associate those social norms, those calendar days become like, oh, I hate Mondays, or gosh, this is terrible. It's like everyone started to look, and the reason why people hate Mondays is because everyone went drinking the night before in the 70s, 60s, and 50s and stuff like that. People went drinking because they had nothing else to do. They hated Mondays because they had a hangover. That's the reason why. That's the whole reason why. It's like they went partying on acid and a whole bunch of different shit, and then they put on a suit the next day and went to work. Because they didn't have piss tests and shit like that. They did a bunch of hard drugs, and then they went to work the next day, and that's why they hated Mondays. Or they had sex with they did a bunch of hard drugs the night before, they got a bunch of hard drugs, and then they went in to go do the news. It's like, yeah, they did that. It's like, that's what they did. And as time went on, people didn't realize, it's like, oh gosh, I hate Mondays. It's like, no, you don't hate Mondays. You don't hate Mondays like the last generation hated Mondays. You don't hate it. You really don't. You dislike it. You think that it's like, oh, I gotta work now that I didn't work. It's just like, no, that person went out and did like 2 kilos of cocaine, had their nose bleed, their friend OD'd, and then they worked the next day. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. It's like that's the club scene sometimes, and people don't realize that. Lasagna! I love lasagna. It's because that's a hangover food. It's a hangover food. People don't realize that in the cartoon, the Garfield cartoon. It's like, oh, I want my kids to be able to hate the same thing that I hate, but I don't want to tell them the reason why. It's just like, come on, man. There's just there's so many different quips and weird stuff that people think about, I think, within our own media, and it's just, oh man, it's funny to think about. It really is. It's like, and then they went to go tell people the news. Like, they went to go print newspapers and stuff like that. It's like, within the calendar year of having things now, I'd say what people actually did, or people actually what the norm was sometimes, is people hated the status quo. I think back in the day, people hated the fact that they had to do the bare minimum, and sometimes the reason why they hated doing the bare minimum is because that's what people would actually do and expect nothing else. I think that's the reason more why people would hate the status quo, and what people, I think, realize or don't realize sometimes is there's a seriousness sometimes in what people do sometimes, and I think now with all these holidays and everything happening is people are actually starting to be able to say that hey, maybe I shouldn't do the bare minimum, maybe the bare minimum isn't expected of me all the time. It isn't expected, and I just burped. Okay. All the time, but yeah, that's the reason why people hated Mondays, and I think it's not the fact that they had to work, it's the fact that they almost OD'd last night and got a bloody nose, and then they punched their friend in the face, and then they got into a huge argument and fist fight, and then they realized that, oh man, I still love you, bro. And then they decided that they were gonna go do a whole bunch of drinking until like 6 o'clock in the morning. That's the reason they hated Mondays. It's because they didn't go to sleep the night before. And it wasn't because of religion. It was not because of religion. It was never because of religion. Don't ever even think that. People try to change stuff into whatever thing people can change anything into, and I guess it's not popular, I guess, to believe that is the way it happened, or that is the way it is. I think, though, that what people can take back from that stuff is the generation before us did way too many drugs, did a lot of drugs, and they were barely even people to do things with. I mean, there were people that had very great reputations that would literally do meth on their off time. And in some ways there's still that stuff that exists today. I'm not saying that happens a whole bunch, or I'm not saying that is a social norm, but in some ways back in the day that was the social norm. That's what people used to do to socialize sometimes, is they would do drugs together with friends. And they would do hard drugs together with friends until they passed out and realized how late it was, and then went home and tried to do something different the next day. I'm gonna go to get some leveling up things, because and also I'm gonna level up my agility. I think what people need to realize now, though, is the fact that we as certain people accept things as social norms sometimes, and there were literally within, I guess, a little more than a century ago, opium dens were a thing, and I think that people don't understand the fact that how popular opium was, or how popular a whole bunch of different stuff was, and how popular these things weren't. Like, these people tried to OD on it sometimes because of the fact that they couldn't live with life, or the fact that or the ever-changing world. There were people with mental disabilities and mental not just incapacities, but mental fortitude that was lacking in some ways, shapes and forms. And people didn't give themselves enough credit to be able to deal with every single day. They didn't try to make a better day for themselves. And I gotta build up my agility, because every single time I keep dying within the bounds of these people. Let's see, agility. Here we go. All right. But the more you start to build on your own character, and the more you start to realize that your character itself is something that you need to hold dear, or you need to be a part of, or you need to be able to hold and grasp sometimes, like realize that that's not a different person. Realize that that's not another person to be able to put in your way. It's like that's an object itself. It's like those waifu pillows and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying that's a terrible thing. It's, oh my god, no, it's not. It's really great to have aspirations and goals for what you would consume or consider your partner in life. But in the same sense too, I think what you need to realize is that if you have overly
I knew you'd be around.
I need to repair weapon or armor. Yes. Yes. Awesome. I'm gonna buy an item. See what the items there are. I have 8. Awesome.
I'll be around.
But yeah, realizing that that there are certain ways that people used to treat themselves, that is sometimes our everyday thing, and the social norms that people used to be able, like the fact that there were, like in one of my last episodes, I talked about people watching the Civil War and literally being like 20 feet away from live gunfire and just not giving a shit because they were probably on drugs to begin with, or they were smoking some sort of hashish or marijuana or some sort of thing, or even not just not caring or not giving a shit because there were people shooting and there weren't really that many reasons to live or that many reasons to be able to hold a certain amount of thing or a certain amount of what's the word, there wasn't a lot of quality control back in the day, and the amount of people that actually did exist was exponential too, and the amount of people that actually died are completely exponential, comparatively speaking, to what happens in wars sometimes. People that just don't have a direction, and people that just never had a direction, or wouldn't have a direction unless somebody guided them, or didn't realize that those people were trying to guide them. And let me see if I can talk to her. All right. All right, I'm good. But yeah, realizing that there are so many ways to go, and so many people to be thankful for. Realize that in the short run. Realize that in the big picture, and you'll start to realize that that there are so many people that try to help with the way that you are, and that's why that I think I like Nami, and also to give to the homeless, not just monetarily, or not monetarily completely speaking, but literally within goods and services. Because sometimes that's all people need to be able to get back on their feet, or to be able to get back into the mood where they can be able to make stuff for themselves. And I'm not saying that has anything to do with a Republican or a Democratic view, but people really need to feel like they're appreciated sometimes, and I think that actually makes for a better day sometimes, and a better want to be able to to push through and a certain wall, and that's holding you back. To push through a certain obstacle that's making you feel like you can't or don't have enough, either gall or even interest in a situation. And I'd say that there are certain people out there that certainly don't give a shit, and there are certain people out there that give a shit about themselves, and they can give a shit about themselves. But understandably so, if everyone started to give a little bit more shit about themselves, and I know it's a really harsh euphemism, but they start to give a shit about each other. I'm not saying that there's any euphemism in the way that people treat themselves sometimes, but there's also, even in the midst of a terrible, even in the midst of a completely terrible and unforeseen event, we'll even then start to realize that, oh shit, nice. We'll even then start to realize that there are I'd say there are forces at work that we don't understand, and until we understand them, they'll always have the better of us. Like the way that people don't understand certain sciences, and they work for us. They work through a pseudoscience, or they realize or think that there is nothing to discover, but in the same sense they sneeze every day or get sick, or realize that over time a person's body actually reacts to an allergy or an allergen once it is ingested, like cigarette smoke or anything like that, and people don't understand that. Like back in the 60s and 50s, I think they were just down with the sickness. They were down to make their kids fucking sick as shit. They were. They really were. They didn't give a shit enough. Sometimes they smoked in their own houses, and they did it because it was their house, and they didn't have to listen to anyone else. But in the same sense, those generations are going to be they're going to be the next generation. They're going to be the next era of parents in some ways. And when people start to realize the error of their ways, sometimes they'll be on their last breath. It's important for people to understand things. It's important for people to understand the facts and the way that they are, and in some ways, the way that they aren't. Sometimes people really don't get it, and they're really gonna wish that they did, and they're really gonna wish that they adhered to some sort of science or biology or anything like that, instead of working with pseudosciences that are so old that sometimes they were never even explained. And people can say that, oh, the facts read for themselves, or the facts speak for themselves, but it's going to be hard when people start to look at themselves in the mirror and don't see anything sometimes, or don't see anything that's changing. It's like you can put as many crystal stones as you want to inside of a shoebox to be able to make sure that those wishes come true, but whenever you start realizing that you can make your own wish come true through hard work and dedication, those are the stones in which you should be able to establish your own life. And within those bounds of being able to realize that within those bounds of being able to realize a truth or or realize that there is a force behind something, or even the fact that there is literal I'd say what I'm not trying to say is about magic or anything like that. People say that, oh my God, it's a terrible thing to think about whatever it is. It's people that need the word or the guidance from anything like that. But they need to come up with their own words, and then they need to be able to realize that and learn spoken word as well. Realizing that also too that word itself could be pretty much anything that they make up, because that's literally what people did. That's literally how people began their civilizations. They started to make up spoken word or any sort of thing, and realized that that's what people do. When they don't like the things that are given to them, when they don't like the stuff that's given to them, they make up their own. And I think that some people aren't going to realize that whenever the masses or the population itself that don't realize that there are other forces at work, that there are people that are constantly chipping at the bit, and once that bit gets down to a certain form or a certain multitude of like finishedness, people are going to wonder where it went. And they're going to wonder where it went with discovery, and realize that people have discovered those things before. People have discovered and said those things all along, and all along. I think that what people don't understand sometimes can get them in trouble, and I really need to jump out of this window, because yes. But within this calendar year of being able to realize certain things, or actually realizing certain habits that we form out of literally nowhere, or just literally just doing nothing or something. Realize that we create traditions constantly, going to the bathroom, certain superstitions, and I think the more we try to be able to understand ourselves, the more we'll actually start to create something that's worthwhile, and actually about some sort of understanding through it's about some sort of understanding through the biggest things we've seen. Just the most I can say is every day there's a change, and the more we don't realize the change, the more we don't see that change, the more we don't become a part of that change, or even realize that change is happening, and become the catalyst to that change, the more we're left behind. And I don't feel as though that I'm being left behind. I see the change, and I notice it, and I also notice that there are other people that see change as well. But also too, if that change is not recorded, then there will be no construct or no ability for people to be able to realize that in some ways they should have been paying attention all along, or something to be able to pay something to be able to pay attention to that that doesn't push them in the wrong direction. I say that a lot of people, god damn it, I say that a lot of people don't understand where I say that a lot of people understand that there are certain aspects of kindness and fortitude in some given works of life, given walks of life, or given works of being able to understand life, and within the given calendar year of a whole bunch of different holidays that Facebook is able to make up, people will start to understand that they should have been giving all along, they should have been helping all along. And I'm not talking about any democratic or anything like that, but giving their time, volunteering, doing something spectacular or amazing in a certain sense of the word, and people will start to realize that if something is given to them, then they'll give back as well. Even if it doesn't happen at a certain point. Realize that people are only hesitant because they don't think it'll last. People are only violent because they don't think that anything makes sense to them. And when they don't think that anything makes sense, they start to try to change and make their own day. But realizing that every day should be special in some way, shape, or form. At least every day of life. That's the reason why sometimes people try to become a part of something, and when they can't become a part of it, they change it. Like how Christianity decided that it was going to change paganism, or how, in some ways, Palestinians and Muslims only get Palestinians and not Muslims and Christianity and a whole bunch of different other religions believe that they're the ones that are right, or because they came first. That means that they're the best, or because they came later, it means that they're better than the rest, or anything like that. Realize that eventually you're going to realize that it all starts to fade to black. It all starts to fade to black because in eventualities we'll start to realize that our universe is probably dying, and we will eventually start to realize that the only thing keeping us alive is the heat. Is the heat and the light. And when they start to realize that, they'll start to realize that oh my god, I should have been paying attention to this stupid stuff all along. Because it is stupid stuff, but it is there for us to be able to call it stupid. And even if it is stupid, then it is the heat, the light, and the power, I guess, in some ways. What we should really understand, though, a lot of times, is that there are so many ways to be able to understand and to be able to be able to culture that heat and that light. And in that same sense, there are so many ways for us to be able for us to try to protect from things that have happened before in the past, but also to be able to realize that there are certain things in our future that we don't give ourselves credit for, or we don't see, because we don't understand what we do sometimes, whether it be good, evil, bad. We don't understand what we do, and I think that the more that people try to understand facts that resonate with them, or like, oh, that's really cool, that's like the coolest thing ever, how did that happen? Those kind of facts, or those kind of occurrences that happen every once in a while, they'll start to realize that those are the moments that they should have been living for all along. no matter what religion or anything that they ever believe in. That life itself, or that the occurrences that happen every day within life are the things that they should have been living for all the time, instead of just ritualistic, let's say, like, not abuse, but ritualistic courses of but also too, in the same sense, I think that the more we try to privatize our own discoveries, the more we're able to realize that we shouldn't be just giving in, and also to the more that people realize that it's not the government that doesn't give a shit about us, it's people that don't give a shit about each other. And the more we start to realize that that we are the ones that create our own society, and we are the ones that create our own justness or call to action in any way, shape, or form, I think that the more they start to realize that that call to action is son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Alright, he's dead. Awesome. Hollow infantry armor. I'm gonna sell it to the person that I'm selling it to. But I think I'm done, and I wanted to wait for like 4 or 5 more minutes, but the calendar year can wear you thin, and the calendar year can make you feel like nothing makes any sense, or that no one makes any sense. But understandably so, the more you start to realize, the more you start to see a pattern, the more you start to understand your own humanity, and or lack thereof, because of what you're doing or how you're doing it. I think that we are incessant creatures of habit, but we are able to see past those habits and see past those people that we have habits with, and understand whether or not those people are going to be our friends when we don't have those habits. Realize that if ever you feel like being mentally sound, all you have to do is be quiet and understand that wisdom comes. Through every experience and through every different person, we start to realize that that there are different things at work, that there are different people at work, and through that we start to realize that there are different mental capacities that we start to understand. I'd say that the more that I start to understand different people, the more that I realize the way that I felt and why I felt that way.
You do have a rather pleasant scent.
Because sometimes I do things impulsively, and it's only because of the things that I'm actually going through, or the way that my emotions are snowballing in a certain way, shape, or form. So yeah, I'm gonna stop this this thing. I'm gonna get this item first. There we go. Absorb HP from each defeated foe. Yeah. Oh wait, what's this one? No, I'm good. I'm gonna go to this one, and it's gonna be tight. So I'm leaving, but your mental capacity should never leave you, and you shouldn't ever turn it off. Not to say that you'll live a shorter life because of it, but you shouldn't ever try to shut off what you believe in or how you believe in it, because it'll always come back to haunt you if you don't. If you do. And yes, I'm buying this. It's beautiful. I'm gonna put it on my finger in the video game. All right. Remember, you are your own one-man bomb squad. You can defuse the situations before they ever happen, and you can make sure that those those situations that you adhere to, that you really want to happen, or that you really want to not happen, be able to not focus on them every day, or be able to put them down and say that, hey, I'm not going to do this again, because every addiction can cause you harm. Every addiction, even video game addiction, even all those things. People have built their marketing schemes on what people are and what people do as far as video games.
Satisfied?
Understandably so, that 5 or 6 hours straight playing a video game without eating or taking a break or even sometimes even going to the bathroom can kill you. And it really can. And it's any addiction. So realize that you are your own one-man Bob Squad in that fact, and you can put down the controller just as much as you can put down any drug or any person or anything or any ability or anything at all. I'm done. So have a good day. And I'm older, so I don't think that I can sit down for about 4 or 5 hours and play video games a bunch. Only because I feel as though that I'm not the mass consumer that other people think I am sometimes, or the marketing companies think I am, or think that other kids should be. They're consumers in a sense, but we always are looking for something emotionally satisfying, or not just colorful. And I realized that sometimes I only liked foods because they were colorful. And with that, diffuse your situations, make yourself better, and make your day better, because it doesn't matter what other people think about you, and it matters what you think about yourself, and it matters how you push yourself every day. Even if those things are positive or negative, realize that it's what you think about yourself every day. And people have told me that, or people have told in interviews, not me specifically, that that they were depressed, and that's the reason why they did certain things, or they said certain things, or they wanted certain things. Realize that every day is a change. It's something that changes. So change a little bit every day, and you should be able to quit that addiction. Become a good consumer. Become a consumer that everyone wants to be around, not someone who constantly sits in the dark. Physically, mentally, or figuratively. All right. And also, with the calendar year happening, there's always something to do, and there's always some way to turn it around. It always helps to be positive. So be positive and think about yourself first, and don't just make. And I'm saying a bunch of different euphemisms, and they make no sense probably put together, but it's okay. I don't care, because I'm not in this for the likes or the follows. I'm in this to help people, and hopefully those people can be helped.